Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and shout out to all of the folks on the West Coast who have lost their homes, who have lost, just precious items that they could never get back. You're in my thoughts, you're in my prayers, and hopefully the situation works out for you all. I got a question on my channel where someone asked me, Y2K, what would you do if your house was burning? What 20 games would you save? Well, I'm going to answer that question by saying I would probably save none of my video games. And the first things I would save would be my family, right? Things. I say things, but what I'm going after is my family, right? So my 2 children, my partner, I would make sure that they are safe and sound, and that there were they were out of harm's way. Outside of that, I would try to grab as many important documents as I can, that may be in the house, because I usually keep important documents offsite. But if there are any important documents, any, pictures that I couldn't get back, I'd probably go for those. But going to the video games, if I had time to grab video games, if I had time to grab any video games out of my collection, which games would I grab? So it's so funny. I to be perfectly honest with you, I'd probably grab, it'd be split. I can't say exactly which games I would grab, right? Because it's tough to say. But I would like to think that I would try to grab a handful of my Sega Saturn games, my Sega CD games, and my Sega Dreamcast games. I would probably go for a lot of my Sega stuff first. If you asked me to narrow it, I think they asked me to narrow it down to 20 games. If I had to narrow it down to 20 games, well, the first game would be Hyperduel, for the Sega Saturn. That'd probably be the first game that I would grab. The next game I would grab would probably be Lords of Thunder for the Sega. You know what? Let me just show you. So, top 20, right? So if I had to grab, so the first game that I would grab would be Hyperduel for the Sega CD. And I'm just assuming I have the ability to grab 20 games that I want, right? Like I'm not, this is all imaginary anyway. But first game I would grab is Hyperduel. That would be the first one that I would make sure I have in my hands before running out the door. The second game that I would grab, just because it'd probably be hard to find again, is Last Resort. The next game that I would grab would probably be Mars Matrix for the Dreamcast. After that, I'd be going for Burning Rangers and probably Guardian Heroes. So that takes me to 5, I think. After that, if I had to keep going, I would probably grab God Hand, that's 6. Futurama, that's 7. Let's see, let's keep going down the line here. I'd probably leave all of the GameCube stuff behind, to be quite honest with you. All the 360 stuff behind. I can't remember where I'm at. Am I at 6 or 7? Am I at 6? I think I'm at 7. So getting down to the PlayStation is probably where I'd go next, and I would grab Silent Bomber. I think I actually have Silent Bomber over here. So I would grab Silent Bomber, which is right here. So Silent Bomber would be number 8. That would be the 8th game that I grab. R-Type Delta would be the 9th game that I grab. What else? R-Type Delta. Of course, I would have to grab my original copy of Symphony of the Night, so that's 10. So I'd grab those 10 to start. When it came to the DS, there are a few games I would grab. So I'd grab Commando Steel Disaster on the DS. That's 11. It's really kind of hard because I have the time to think about which games I would grab, but that would be 11. can go back up to the PlayStation 2. So I'd probably grab Rule of Rose just because it'd probably be really hard to find this game again. Rule of Rose and Blood Will Tell. So where am I at? 13? What, 12, 13? Sorry, it's hard for me to keep track. You guys let me know down in the comments. But so let's just say I'm at 13 right now. So I'd grab those two. Let's see. I'd probably grab Die Hard Arcade and Herc's Adventures. So I think that's 15. Radiant Silvergun, 16. Cotton 2, 17. Gigawing and Gigawing 2, that's 19. And probably Cannon Spike for 20. So I'd probably grab a lot of the retro stuff. Don't know if there's really much in the Switch collection that I would grab, just because I feel like it'd be so much easier for me to find a lot of my Switch games again. You know, a lot of the retro games that I have that are really rare, they were hard to find. You know, I don't think any of my rare games I purchased on eBay. None of the rare games that I have in my collection, like the really, really expensive ones, like 200 plus, those weren't eBay pickups. Those were games that I bought either in a retro store where I made trades for them. I traded probably with someone locally that I know and got them. But I would say, you know, all of my really rare and hard to find stuff, I really found in the wild and, you know, made some serious trades for them. And I wouldn't want to have to find those games and pay for them now. Now, the crazy part is that I didn't even go to my Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis collection. Like, I didn't even mention, like, you know, SWAT Cats or, you know, my complete in box Demon's Crest, which is another game that I probably want to grab. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about all the Sega games that I probably want to keep and the Super Nintendo games. But the thing is, with a lot of the Sega games that I really, really like the, you know, Elemental Master and stuff like that, a lot of them are on the mini consoles. So I do have those on like the 2 Sega mini consoles, and some of my favorite Super Nintendo games are on the SNES Mini. When it comes to those like PlayStation 1 titles, the Sega Saturn and Sega CD titles, some of those like you know, a lot of the Sega stuff, it just gets harder to source those games. There's really no sign of any of those games really being ported to any consoles anytime soon. It doesn't mean that it won't happen in the future, but just at this point in time, it's really hard to source some of those games physically. So that's why right off the top of my head, those are some of the games that I would grab. Probably the harder to find and harder to keep games, but hopefully I'm praying that I am never in that situation where I do have to make that choice. And, you know, like I said, I'm praying for everyone and anyone who lost, you know, everything in those fires on the West Coast. I have seen a couple YouTubers who have mentioned that they lost their entire video game collection or their media collection. Hopefully their collections were insured. If you have a large physical collection worth any substantial sums of money, my recommendation is to insure it. Insure it if you can, because you never know when something bad is going to happen. If you're not sure about your insurance options, speak with an insurance broker. Speak if you own your home and you have homeowners insurance. See if, you know, if there's something they can do for you. If you're a renter, I know there's renter's insurance. You can see how much, you know, your stuff can be covered under renter's insurance. But yeah, those would probably be the games that I would grab. I'm sure if I had more time to sit down and think about it, maybe that list would change. But right off the top of my head, those would be some of the games I would grab. Let me know down in the comments what would be what games you would grab first. If you had to evacuate and you actually had time to grab some of your video games, what are the games in your collection that you would grab first to preserve? I'm interested to know your thoughts. I'll catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.